We are connected and live once again. Holy smokes. We're back. Welcome back to IMRC and broadcasting in general. Man, I miss this. This is going to be awesome to finally be back at it. Back in the IMRC. Action has not stopped here, of course, while I was gone for the last 2 months. But now we'll be able to bring it to you guys, these final, I think it's 4 races. And
Yep.
it's gonna be fun as always. It's Atlanta. It's 120 laps, I believe.
Shrunk down to 90.
Shortened to 90. Okay, so 90 laps here tonight in Atlanta. Bring it all, or leave it in the trailer. Seth, remember what you said about messing up early?
Yep, I do. You're doing good. You're doing good.
Getting the rust off for all we can. So, welcome back, everybody. Of course, joining me to hopefully help knock the rust off. Familiar faces, Blake and Seth, back once again. Good to have you both.
Yep. Glad to be here. Apologies as I'm a little quiet at the moment. I'm still listening into Shane's rules and everything like that, but happy to be back as a co-commentator and hoping to get the older races uploaded here fairly soon. A lot of stuff going on in life.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's good to be back here doing an NR 2003 race again. Been a while. Actually, been a while since I even got into one of these cars. Turned a couple of laps here at Atlanta. Kind of got used to driving in these machines once again. So, nice to be back doing the experience once more. And man, I mean, it's playoff racing. It may be one of the toughest tracks on the entire playoff schedule here tonight with Atlanta. I think the thing we're going to be talking about mostly here tonight is going to be tires, because they are going to be very valuable, especially when we end up having those late race restarts.
Yeah, this track, as we recall from last season, definitely eats up the tires pretty good. Of course, we had last season's winner, Dejan Weeks. He's here tonight. We do have, we are a couple races into the playoffs now, or I should say the Chase, which is basically the regular format for how it was back like 2004 to 2013 roughly.
Yeah, about that.
Yep, with 10 drivers who are going for it. Point standings gonna be tallied up over these next 6 races, or the first 2. Now the final 4 races. Blake, if you would like to go down the list of who all is in that 10 driver list.
Yeah, absolutely. So keep in mind for any of the half point totals, I'll make slight mention of this for those I remember. There have been a couple of drivers who had substitute drivers come in, so point totals are a little bit different, but here we are. So Don LaPrade leads the points with 1074 on top of the board. Chris Emery in second place with 1069. Nice. Dane Stinson had a driver at Daytona come in and sub for him, so he got half points. So Dane is sitting at 1064.5. Jovan Anderson has 1063. Shane Size has 1060. Dejan Weeks has 1049. Chris Wetz has 1047. Jeff Dixon II has 1046. Cody Lamas has 1045, and Tyler Mallon has 1043. Mallon, to my knowledge, Stinson, Weeks, and Mallon have all had drivers come in to substitute, and in consequence, based off of their finishing positions, halved the points. So Mallon has kind of been out, unfortunately. And beyond that, the biggest news is that Dane Stinson, who has run most of the regular season and everything, won last week's race at Kansas. So those video highlights will be uploaded hopefully here at some point ahead.
Of course, Charlie Fibrosis, the YouTube channel there, who has been gathering the highlights from these past several races that I've been gone, which thank you, Blake, for doing that. Gonna try to quickly go down the starting order here for what appears to be probably a 15-16 car field, roughly. I don't know if Henry Nova is actually running or not. But either way, we got the starters here. Dane Stinson on pole next to Don LaPrade, a couple of top guys in the championship. Then you got Jeff Dixon, Tyler Mallon, reigning champ Dejan Weeks, and Noah Degenhart, Alexander Gonzalez, and the man himself, Shane Sides. And then Sean Ryan and Jovan Anderson are the top 10. New face there in 11th, Noah Robb. Chris Wetz, Tristan Allen, wrap-up drivers who took laps. Chris Emery, again, don't know about Henry Nova actually starting or not. But then you got Cody Lamas rounding out the field.
Definitely going to be an interesting race here tonight. Just as an aside in regards to points as well, just something to look at. Ford has pretty much run away with the Manufacturers' Championship as they stand. Ford has 353 points. Chevy has 335 points. Toyota has 317. And Dodge, with the most underrepresented series, underrepresented manufacturer, 32 points.
Has anyone even ran a Dodge?
They get a participation ribbon.
Yeah.
So let's address the elephant in the room here tonight. Obviously, Atlanta, one of the oldest track surfaces out there, and the Goodyears are going to be the optimal thing that may end up being the deciding factor in whether you're going to win this race or not. But taking care of those tires is going to be something difficult for these drivers in two different respects. On long green flag runs, it only takes about maybe 2 or 3 laps for the right sides, the right front and the right rear, to get up to 200 degrees. That means that these cars are not going to want to turn off the corner. It's going to be even worse when you're back in traffic dealing with that aero tightness, but also going to have to manage these tires on restarts. I took an opportunity to see just how cool the tires can possibly get under pacing, and these guys will be restarting with their tires somewhere between 100 to 120 degrees. It's going to be very slick for them going into turn 1, especially if you're up on that top side. And of course, they've got the choose cone rule here at Atlanta. It's going to be interesting to see how many drivers are willing to migrate up to that top side to be on the outside of their specific rows on restarts, because there is some grip out there, but really when you've got those cold rear tires coming off of turn 2, that thing's going to want to step out on you.
That is very much true. From my time racing in Atlanta, something that I've experienced is, especially in turns at the exit of turn 4, the car has the high chance that it wants to kick out and smack the outside wall right where the Atlanta turn 4 logo is. So definitely being able to manage the car and keep it fast and kind of a little bit like a slot car. So you want to keep it fast, you want to keep it under control, but you don't want to be driving too slow that you end up getting hit from behind, especially down the inside. But on that outside line, it has the chance that it's going to kick out. And, well, if you're going to hit the wall, you kind of want to hit it with the back end and hit it kind of flat. Otherwise, you run the chance of having the back end slipping loose, just doing a 360. And in years past, unfortunately, we've had some very, very big crashes at the exit of turn 4 into the front straightaway.
And let's point out why those crashes have been so big, too. I mean, Andrew, you pointed out the fact Dejan Weeks, the defending champion, took a victory here. We were treated to pack racing in last season's Atlanta race, everybody in close proximity. So if one driver makes a mistake, there are a lot of other drivers that fall into the innocent victim category.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, remember as just like what Blake was saying, craziness off of turn 4, guys kind of getting in the wall and not being able to get it squared away again, as I'm going to get on and off track. Yep, down to 90 laps. But that's going to be, I think, the trouble spot. Of course, I also distinctly remember Jovan Anderson from the lead in turn 2 out on a very long run, the back end suddenly stepping out and that causing some trouble. So it's funny how it works, where it's like you feel like you have no grip and the car just wants to plow up to the wall, and then all of a sudden the back end gets a little happy and wants to go around. So these guys are going to be managing a lot at, just like what Seth said, probably the most difficult track of the season.
Now I'll say this much, just to kind of get the thoughts on it. Who are your guys' picks tonight?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I think it's going to be hard to beat the 18, the 93 if he's able to get up there, and the pole sitter. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the winningest driver of the season in Dayton Stinson, so I think that this is right up his wheelhouse.
I'm going to go with the guy on the outside of the front row. These playoffs are going to be rewarding consistency, and Atlanta rewards consistency. Dunn LaPrade has been the epitome of that, not only during the playoffs, but also during the regular season. He's leading the points. He's just got to keep his nose clean here today, and sometimes that's all you got to do to take a checkered flag at Atlanta.
Right now we are taking the green flag. Top Dragster is back, baby.
And the green flag flies. Dane Stinson down on the inside as they lead him off into turn one. Side by side battle for the lead. Oh, and a sharp move by the 18.
Oh, speaking of loose.
There's those cool tires. The tire temp's going to be about 120 there on the initial start of this race. They left pit road with the tire temps at 160. That shows you just how much cool down there is on these Goodyears under pacing.
Golly, that caught out Stinson hard, but he was able to save it. Going to fall back quite a few spots, though. Now it's LaPrade and Mallon up front at the end of the first lap. Mallon already looking for the spot, almost towards the 25. But just like that, Tyler Mallon the leader.
I think Mallon's trying to bring upon the former dominance that is of NASCAR driver Bobby Labonte back in the early 2000s in NASCAR, and especially at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Big wins by the 18 car for that for many seasons.
3 wide, almost 4 wide back there around the 5th position with Dagenhart, Dixon, Gonzalez, and Emery. They settled that out to double wide. But, you know, guys, it's not often that we end up seeing Tyler Mallon in desperation mode, but I think that's what it was, that sense of urgency to get to the front. As you pointed out, Blake, he is last in the playoff stands right now in the Chase standings. He had Carter Friesen substitute for him at the Daytona Road Course. Friesen won that race, but Mallon only got half points, and then he DNF'd in last week's race at Chicagoland. So he's got to get a win here to get himself back into that championship picture.
Yeah,
well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, even a win is, a win is definitely going to help, but he is so far down in the barrel, he's going to have to absolutely claw, bite, and scratch his way up to the front. He's going to have a pretty much flawless rest of the season, and definitely trying to make it tonight.
Yeah, right now in the spot that he wants to be, but of course a long way to go. And I have to, of course, allude to the fact that in the first race back that I'm seeing, and I see Mallon ahead of Dejan Weeks. Flashbacks, anybody?
Absolutely. It was funny. I was talking with Dejan before this race, and he said, man, I came into this season as a defending champ. I just wanted to have fun. I pick up that win at Daytona. Now I'm in the playoffs. Now I got to try.
Well, here he is. He's trying, and about, kind of in the middle of that top 10 in points right now. So could definitely try to get his nose into the picture in much better shape than Mallon is. Mallon being 10th out of 10. So, like you said, desperation for the 18. Dunn LaPrade, though, I think that if he could just sit there and be like, all right, I'll just cruise along like this. Because fancy that. He is leading the championship right now with a goose egg in the win column this season.
Trying to pull a Matt Crafton, if you will.
Yeah.
I was going to say either a Matt Crafton or maybe if he can get a little bit of luck, Terry Labonte. He's been consistent a majority of this season, and
the wall!
Oh my gosh, what a save by the 18, but he's going to come up hard. But they let him back in line. That's a good save.
Shallow entry then to turn 3. Credit to Chris Emery backing off a little, allow the 18 to make the corner. Now he'll go back on the attack, will the Twisted T forward for that 4th position.
Is Emery, correct me if I'm wrong, second in points, right?
Yes, Chris Emery is sitting at 1069 versus LaPrade's 1074.
So there you go, a 5-point difference between those two. So Emery is definitely saying, hey, I'm gunning for this myself, and hello, Dunn. Here I am. Those two are about to go side by side here for the 3rd position. And just like that, the pole sitter now finds himself back up to 2nd.
I was going to be very interested to see just how slow these guys had to back their corners down 10 laps into a run. we're seeing them down around 167, 168 through the center of the corner. I did a little bit of testing in case this thing went into long green flag runs about guys possibly trying to flip the switch on fuel strategy. You can clutch into the corner, to the center of the corner, down to 168 and get back to the throttle. I'm wondering if guys like Cody Lamas and Tristan Allen towards the rear of the field, if they're already doing that.
Oh, that's a fair point. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would imagine. Oh boy, battle for the lead there. But I would imagine the fuel window probably at a track like this in about the low 30 lap range.
Oh,
Yeah, we'd be looking around 28 to 34 laps if you really want to stretch it over 30 laps. But I think you're going to see if we have a round of green flag pit stops, most of these guys are going to be pitting around the lap 30 mark.
Oh man, if they make it that far at this point, man, they are right on top of each other. Dejan Week's starting to fall in the wrong direction. Nearly got into a couple of people's doors.
I mean, I was going to say it's only a lap 11, but they're racing as if it's lap 90.
Oh, into the
Jeff
wall.
Dixon.
Jeff Dixon, that collected by the 48 of Lamas. That'll be the yellow.
Oh, boy.
Looks like at least a flat tire on the 14. Don't know how the rest of the damage is going to be.
How quickly that car jumped to the right to the outside wall. That had all the looks of possible net code.
Yeah, that had to. There was no way that there was some kind of collision or contact there. Or there was no way that there wasn't. So Dane Stinson back to the lead again with Emery and LaPrade second and third on the first caution of the day here. Coming out on the 11th lap. Jeff Dixon getting turned hard in the outside wall in turn 2.
Now, when you're on the top side of a double wide formation this long into a run, that car on the inside line has to make sure they don't push up the track, and it was Jovan Anderson that was the inside of the 14, pushes up as they came off of turn 2, ran Dixon out of room, and that was a hard shot into the outside safer barrier. And one thing I gotta wonder here is, obviously we've seen the pack racing already here. We alluded to it last season. How is that front end damage there, that buckle on the hood, going to affect Dixon for the rest of this race? Is he still going to be able to stay with the lead group?
That's a good question there. I think, yeah, the front damage is definitely going to hurt him a lot more than the rear. So that's just going to be a matter of how serious it is. And what did my game just crash? Oh, it did. Huh. Can't see that.
Well, that's not good.
Fantastic.
Well, it didn't just crash, it outright closed.
Radio style.
So 7 and the 25 go into the pits, 1 and 2. I would say the big question, at least for Dixon, is simply this: I'd be concerned over the nose damage, but without a doubt, there's a little bit of concern too for the rear damage as well. If they cut the rear off, that's going to loosen up the car substantially. But the nose damage is definitely going to cause the car to be a lot slower when pointed straight towards the field. So I don't know how bad the damage is. I can't really tell that there's anything major removed from the car at this moment. But I would say more than anything, it's going to hurt the aero dependency in the nose. So hopefully they manage to flatten it down at least enough that they can keep up.
Well, I think I'm back. Everything looks good here. Looks like not too much has changed as far as the running order, except for probably LaPrade and Emery changing spots. Shout out there to Noah Degenhart running P5 at the moment. And then Alexander Gonzalez, that'll be P6. Shane Sides, Noah Robb, Tristan Allen, and Cody Lamas looks like will be the top 10.
Hughes cone coming up here at the start finish line. Let's see what lanes these drivers choose. I think I might want that inside line on the initial start. It looks like Dane Stinson is going to take the inside. LaPrade will take the outside. So basically we just re-racked up the front row from the initial start of this race for the first restart of the night.
Yeah, although quite contrary to what you just said, Seth, I'm seeing a lot of guys going to the outside.
Really interesting. It's almost as if we didn't have choose cone at all. Looks pretty fairly even, at least back through the top 10.
Yeah, it looks like Shane Sides picked up a little bit, choosing the inside. 28, maybe a little bit, but especially I'm seeing Sean Ryan there in the 42, and looks like Jovan Anderson dropping to the back of that line.
Dane picked up 2 spots, crossed the line 7th, and will be restarting 5th.
So we'll be keeping an eye on Jeff Dixon's pace here. Again, a guy who's also gunning for the title. But right now, that's already looking a little bit in a bit of trouble here at Atlanta. Still early in the going, 15 of 90. Of course, we have the 8 laps for green-white checkers should we need them. But man, how quickly you can go from the front to the back. Dejon Weeks, leading, is now second to last on the track. So it's going to be some comers and goers, most likely.
Yeah, we've run, what, 14 laps? We've already had 4 different leaders in this race. So yeah, apparently holding the lead not quite as easy as one would think. Wow, the 7 spin the tires. I think it was Chris Wetz back there spun them as well. He actually got the outside wall, pancaked the right side.
Yeah, I'm not sure if maybe first gear is the best idea on these restarts or not, but yep, there goes the inside line. Stinson taking the lead. Chris Emery trying to go with him.
Remember the last time that we started this race with Dane Stinson on the inside line, he was loose on the apron of 1 and 2 the following lap. Obviously, that car really good when the tire temps start to pick up and the grip starts to be there, but let's see how he approaches 1 and 2 this time.
Pretty smooth at the moment. Now, I'll also be interested to see maybe if anyone is able to make the outside line consistently work. Dunlap doing a good job holding his own up there at the moment. But it seems like on the long run, if you want to be able to hold position, the inside's where you got to be. But who knows? Maybe there's a little bit of tire saving going on the outside. I'm speaking from experience when I say that you're not needing to turn as hard. So maybe that'd be the better strategy in the long run.
When I turned some laps here, I was battling with Dunlap and he was on the bottom, I was on the top. I can tell you that at least for the most part, there is not enough grip on that outside line to be able to make a pass. You can hold your position through the center of the corner, but really you lose a lot of time from the center off. And really, it's the inside line that's the way to go if you're going to try and make a pass. Emery able to go around the top side there, but I think that was more so the fact that Dane Stinson let him go.
Dane probably still just a little bit sideways. Thought I saw the 87 a little sideways just a moment ago, but still holding on to P5. Checking back on a few guys battling here. There's Tyler Mallon, Noah Robb, the 28. First time I've mentioned or first time I've seen Noah Robb on the racetrack ever. And looking pretty solid, number 28 Valvoline colors. And there's another contender in Jovan Anderson behind them. A driver who really knows how to get it done at these races. And also keeping my eye on Jeff Dixon. Looks like he's kind of struggling to keep the pack, but still not doing too bad all in all. Just ran his fastest lap of the race, actually.
I'll say this much. So last night I was watching an interesting YouTube channel by the user Zachary Leffler. He's done a series that is on drivers who almost won their very first NASCAR Winston Cup or Sprint Cup Series race. So Dave Blaney at Atlanta almost got it done. And that is kind of the energy that I'm getting from Jovan. Obviously, Jovan has won an IMRC before, but definitely not having a bad race, but definitely not as strong as he typically is.
He's in P8 at the moment. He's kind of, I'm guessing, buying his time in the Amoco car. Doing okay, like you said, but I know Jovan. I know that he can bide his time pretty well. Of course, made it happen, I believe, at Michigan this season. And now trying to make the move for 7th place on the 28. As man, the 20 goes way up to the outside. Tyler Mallon need to take a little avoiding action. They all keep it pretty clean. Everyone's starting to get a little bit strung out at the moment.
The update there on Jeff Dixon, I rode on board with him and then on board with our race leader, Chris Emery. There's maybe only 1 or 2 RPMs difference, but that car appears to still be up to speed with this group. So I think that despite the hard lick we saw him take into the outside wall from turn 2, I think that 14 is still able to be competitive.
And I think that if he can maybe get a little bit of track position back, we'll maybe see, we'll maybe hear a little bit more from that 14 before this race is over. So now that they pitted around lap 12 or 13 range, guessing probably their next pit stop would be in the realm of about, let's see, that would be like lap 43 or so. So about 20 laps away. Dunlop starting to drop a little bit. Degenhardt actually on the move, just went from 5th to 3rd in the last couple laps. And Emery holding his own at the moment. Had a couple of the last streams that I did of this series. He won 2 in a row. And Stinson.
He had Dagenhart to the inside. I think he was trying to give the 87 room off the corner and just overcorrected into the outside wall.
Man, it's like you said, that 7 is well hooked up, except for when it's not, and that seems to be more often than others. So that Mac Tools car is right on the razor's edge. And
well, here's the thing too.
Risky.
I mean, the racing surface here, as we mentioned, is worn, and so you can't make on a dime movements, or else you're going to pay the price. That quick movement to the right with Dane Stinson trying to give room for Dagenhart had him pay the price there, and that actually is also why we end up having a lot of times those spins off of 2 and 4. Drivers are trying to turn left, hard left, to make sure that they don't hit the outside wall off the corner. The back end just not able to hang on to it. So you've got to be smooth through these corners, or else Atlanta's going to make you pay.
And we have a new leader. Noah Degenhardt has now taken the lead for, I think, one of the very first times in IMRC in the number 87 iBuyPower Toyota Camry.
We see this a lot, don't we, in playoffs and chases, where the guys that are battling for a championship, they're big picture racing. They're trying to make sure that they keep their car in one piece for the end of the race. Drivers that aren't battling for the championship, they can go ham. They can give it 110% because they're just out trophy hunting. I think that's the case here for the 87. He's saying, all right, all you guys are saving your stuff. I'm not saving. I'll go out here in this clean air.
That'd be pretty freaking cool to see Degenhardt win this thing. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe that he has any wins in the IMRC. So we'll see what he'll be able to do. Right now, current only battle is Shane Sides and Tyler Mallon. That is for 6th. Mallon going to get that spot. Everyone's starting to kind of accordion back together here in one big line, going back to Cody Lamas all the way back in 11th. So that pack racing mentality that you were mentioning is starting to come back into fruition.
A little bit of a better corner exit there, by the way, for the 25 of Dunlop as he closes a little bit on the 52 of Emery. Although I don't know if he's going to necessarily try and make a move right this moment. He's definitely right in his tire tracks.
Tell you what, I'm really surprised. I'm riding on board with Cody Lamas, Tristan Allen, Chris Wetz, Jeff Dixon, some of these guys towards the tail of the pack. I'm surprised I'm not hearing any of them clutching through the corner. I mentioned the fact that you can still maintain race speed with the pace back down the way it is and be able to save fuel. If you clutch from the entrance of turn 1 to the center of turn 2, and then from the entrance of turn 3 to the center of 3 and 4, you can save about a quarter to half a lap right there. And I mean, that could play huge dividends for these drivers if we manage to go into really long green flag runs. It's leader in the wall there, but as far as pit strategy is concerned.
Well, some 3 wide for the lead there. LaPrade going to take it on the far inside. Golly, what a move that was. As, Degenhardt flirting with disaster. A number of these guys now flirt with disaster. Look at Stinson trying to keep Mallon behind him. And everyone's starting to stack back up. Really close.
The difference between first and third place as they cross the line, tied at 1/100th.
Wow. Man, that's getting there, especially on a track like this.
Now, the one thing that has to do with mentality here is just with the way that the point situation is set up. You don't gain any points for leading a lap. It's all based on where you finish. So, I definitely look at some of these guys just trying to strong on themselves and get up to the front. And oh, Shane Size hit to the outside
Might be a
wall of
wreck.
the 93. Everyone seems to be safe, but definitely definitely a bit of a messy situation there in about 7th place. But what I was going to say was definitely there are drivers that want to strong arm themselves and get up in front and show that they've got the power. But I just kind of wonder how much that physically drains someone. You put yourself up in the lead, you may be mirror driving a little bit. You may be having to try and figure out how to get around the corners better. Checking what your
Oh, we got
opponents
a
are
spin
doing.
off turn 4. Chris splits by himself through the infield grass. Got to gather the thing back up. No, he's up against the outside wall now on the second crook of the front straightaway. The field is in turn 3, I do believe.
If he doesn't get going, they might have to throw it there, despite the fact that that was no contact. I think we're going to be good.
He's good. He's good. He's gotten it rolling. The field is approaching, but he is rolling.
Man, that was iffy. But, yep, looking like he's starting to slowly get back up to speed. Of course, now his tires are going to be absolutely fried. So they're going to catch him in a hurry, even though these guys probably not in much better shape. You see about 0.8 to almost a second lost so far for these guys on their tires.
Be careful, drivers.
Ooh, boy.
A car with worn tires up on the top side off turn 4 with leaders approaching. That made me nervous too.
And Stinson trying to get second place. Oh my gosh, these guys noticed the tail up here at the front. Still 10 laps from halfway.
Now we did have another driver that had an issue as well. The 42 of Sean Ryan got the wall on lap 28 while battling with Jeff Dixon for position. He's fallen way off the pace at this point in time.
Yeah, he got a very slow lap there the last time. And funny, then I start to focus on him and he's pulling that clutch method that you were talking about. Probably has a desperation move of like, well, let's just see where this goes. But right now it looks like the field's kind of separated into 2 packs of 3. And then a couple more guys there with Robin Size. And then a battle there, Jovan Anderson, Dejan Weeks. Anderson going to get that spot. That's for P9.
I want to touch on something that Blake brought up moments ago about these guys trying to rely on the consistency to win the championship. If you think about it too, all 10 of our Chase drivers are in the field here tonight. Only 15 drivers took the green flag. So there's only 5 drivers that can really shake up the points amongst the playoff contenders. With that being said, I mean, not a whole lot of opportunity for these guys to make leaps and bounds in the point standings, gain a ton of positions. So it's really about twofold, picking up maybe 1 or 2 spots.
Oh, Noah Rob into the wall there. That's probably going to be the yellow. And that rear end is torn up on the Valvoline Ford. And he was on a good run there. Looked like may have been contact just a little bit. And just before pit stops, we are bunching back up.
And this was a caution that came out for safety's sake. Granted, it was not a multi-car wreck, but it was right in the middle of the field off of turn 4 and onto the straightaway. So good call there by the admins to throw that yellow flag so more drivers didn't get involved in that.
And, yeah, I believe that the rule is anyway, contact spin of any sort will result in a caution. We'll take a look and see exactly what happened in just a moment. We'll see how pit stops shake up here first. Dunlap leading him down pit road with Malin in second. Oh my God. Stinson in third. I almost said Ogo. There's a callback. Degenhardt and Gonzalez now up in a very solid 4th and 5th. And a little door bang in there. Stinson needing to correct it. That might be costly.
I don't think he realized that Dunlap was going to pull square into his box. And he tried to cut right in front of the nose of the 25 to get into his stall. Pratt is going to get down and away, but I almost wonder about the contact to the right front on the 25 now. I don't see any visible damage there, so it might have been no harm, no foul, but could have been a lot worse for sure.
LaPrade taking a very unorthodox means of getting out of the pits. A little more contact between Chris Emery and Alexander Gonzalez coming off pit road, so a pretty chaotic round of pit stops there. I see more smoke there in turn 2. I'm not sure what that might be. We're going to take a look and see what happened with the 28 to bring out this caution flag. Number 2 of the race, which actually credit to these guys going 40 laps with only 2 cautions. Let's see, he's in front of Shane Sides, and oh, he actually does just loop it. I thought there may have been contact from the rear, so.
I went on board with the 24. He made no contact with the 28 car. And that smoke that you were seeing over there in turn 2 was Noah Robb trying to get back to pit lane, trying to catch up to the field. He looped it around again there in the second corner, left that smoke cloud. But I'll tell you, 2 drivers that are very happy to have seen that caution come out. And that's Sean Ryan and Chris Wetz, because they were able to come down pit road, get the right side damage repaired on their machines off of that last run.
That's true, and we should be down to one more stop. Degenhart with something going on. May have had to step away or something, but he's in a weird spot. Either way, that's going to be costly to him because he was on a great run.
He is currently away from his computer, and obviously if he doesn't return soon, he'll probably fall at least 1 lap down to the field. Keep an eye on him, see when he eventually gets rolling again.
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer there for the 87, but hey, this is a simulator after all, so real life stuff does happen. Dane Stinson has fallen to, well, has opted to go for the inside line, and is going to be, looks like, 11th coming to this restart. Tyler Mallon and Don LaPrade will be the front row. Shane Sides and Chris Emery will be 3rd and 4th. And hello to Cody Lamas up there suddenly in P6, going for the outside line.
And here we go. The green flag waves once more. A solid start by the 25. He's going to pull ahead. But here we go. Allen's going to shoot to the inside, trying to get that inside momentum and see if he can pull away.
And look at LaPrade actually really doing a great job of holding his own on the outside. They're going to be side by side down the back straightaway. Advantage might be whoever Chris Emery goes with.
And I'm actually kind of shocked that the grip on the outside's working so well for the 25. Off the corner exit, almost hits the wall. He's going to fall into place. He's going to lead that lap.
Great job by the Oopsor machine.
Yeah, power move there. A lot of times drivers try and get back to the throttle too soon off of turn 4 and have that lose sensation off the final corner. Chris Emery going to follow him. Emery's been really good on the short run on these restarts, and he's showing that short run speed yet again. Going to try to cross the inside on the 25. So inverted numbers, 25, 52 side by side for the lead.
And a great job that they're doing right now, putting on a great show right now. Shout out to Cody Lamas, who's battling for 4th right now. Might be able to get his nose in there for 3rd.
Shout out to Camilo Gonzalez. Shout out to Camilo Gonzalez as he's trying to fight for 4th place. Often not. Sometimes he's been up there fighting for it, but I'm going to be honest with you. I think tonight may be the chance, provided he can keep it all together and a little misfortune befalls those ahead of him. He may be a winner tonight.
We could see one of the underdogs get their first W here in the IMRC. That'd be pretty freaking cool. Of course, we saw Degenhart up here a while ago. Don't know if he's even back on track. He is not, so that's pretty much going to take him out of contention. We are coming to halfway this time by 25 and 52, still right on top of each other. And then the 18 leading everybody else, who all is getting really stacked up. Jovan Anderson making his way back to the front in the 93.
Just so hard to race side by side here at Atlanta because you're fighting your car, you're fighting the track, and at the same time as you're fighting those two battles, you're doing your best not to get into the car that you're side by side with. So there's 3 different things you have to concentrate on, and sometimes it's easy to let your mind focus on one thing over the other 2, and that's what ends up leading to the mistakes. But I'll tell you what, these guys, with the track conditions they've had to deal with here today, the lack of grip really on these restarts. Oh, Gonzalez gonna get in the wall.
Oh, and there goes Anderson as well.
And that's the 2nd time tonight that Jovan Anderson's had a car to his outside and he's pushed up into them. Dixon was the first one, this time it's Gonzalez.
Oh boy, I don't know if that might be a park on the 93 in that case.
Well, to bring up a thing that we heard in driver's meeting, there is no strike rule here tonight. They are experimenting with doing away with the strike rule. They are basically just going to have it where the driver that causes the incident has the choice of if they want to drop to the back for the restart or not. So there are no strikes, so there are no EOLs, no enforced parks here this evening unless it's something intentional.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it here. Anderson, I think he may have just clipped the apron a hair, and that's what shot him up that time. Man, that was that.
So we just ran, what, 3-4 laps under green? I don't think that's going to be enough to draw these guys down to pit road. As you mentioned, Andrew, they're still going to have to make at least one more pit stop between now and the checkered flag. So you might see a handful towards the back of the pack come down pit lane, but I don't think you'll see at least the top 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 come down pit road. I think they're going to try and...
As of course I warp out once again, so no matter where I go, Xfinity has to mess with me. Because, yeah, to those who don't know why the 2-month gap in racing, I moved into my own place. I got a pretty good internet package, which has been working pretty well for me, except for that one rare occasion where it does like to blip out every now and then.
That's okay, because current me is giving past me a thwack on the head, because everybody's coming down pit road. So, yeah, forget everything I just said about a minute or 2 ago.
Well, I think it's all about the tires, as Tristan Allen is now facing the wrong way.
He got a hit from behind by Sean Ryan, and I don't know if Sean got help from the 93 of Jovan Anderson, but it was certainly a stack up there towards the tail end of the field. 80 having to wait until Chris Emery was done. Now he'll loop it around to get into his stall.
Yeah, this ain't like real NASCAR, where as long as you're in the lines, you can still do your service. I don't think that the in-game crew is going to be very happy with you facing the wrong way.
We were just talking about the good run by Alexander Gonzalez. It looks like that hit he took in the outside wall too much to get repaired to have him up to speed. He is out of the race. He'll finish either in the 14th or 15th position, depending on when the 87 of Noah Dagenhart eventually returns.
The first official retiree of the race, the 63. That is a hard break there. A couple of the underdogs that we were talking about, both of them out of contention, or outright out of the race at that. So, looking up at the field here, it's a pretty familiar top 4. Dunlap Rad, Chris Emery, Tyler Mallon, and Dane Stinson. And then you got Cody Lamas, still holding his own there in P5. Shane Sides will be 6th, that of Noah Robbins 7th. Despite that spin, looking like he's in pretty good shape. We'll see how he's able to hold it up here in the top 10. Dejon Weeks 8th, Sean Ryan will be 9th, and then Anderson. And Dunlap Rad once again going for the outside. It's been working for him, so why not?
Seems like a host of drivers, though, are going to take outside. I know that we're going to be about even-ish or so, but still, lots of drivers on the outside. Going to see if they can capitalize.
Well, that just put Noah Robb up into the 3rd position with that.
Oh, and by the way, to mention, we got 40 laps to go, roughly.
Oh, yeah. One more pit stop. But this race is breezing on by pretty good. Only 3 cautions thus far. These guys have been doing a phenomenal job. It's been
that was the first half of this race. Now we're into the second half. Now the
That's
aggressiveness picks up.
true. We may
That
go to
was the
lap
first
98.
half. That was the old me. Now we're bringing on the second half, the new me.
That's right.
The bring it on me. Who's going to make that first move is going to be the question. I mean, yeah, we still got a ways to go. This is where pit strategy is going to be really interesting. Do you try to run it out? Do you try to run out the tires and then try to really gun it toward the end? You split strategy. Try to go for the undercut. Of course, we have seen the overcut work before. But then pitting early really helped Dejan Weeks win this race last season, which lo and behold put him in position for a shot at the championship last season, and he won it. So anything can happen as Dunlop ran with a great launch off the outside. It's been working for him, and he is going to get right down in front of the 52.
I was actually really afraid that he'd cut him off just a little bit too early, just from the camera angle, but he managed to get there, sliced it smooth like butter.
Rob again! And he is on the wall. That might end up being a caution regardless.
It is
That
indeed
is
a
the
caution.
yellow. Wow. Oh my, what an explosive wreck for Sean Robb.
Jeez.
He
No,
made a
Rob.
really aggressive move there out of turn 2. Got a big run on Emery and almost thought about splitting the middle between Emery and Tyler Mallon for second place. He then tucked in behind Mallon, and I think he just missed the lifting zone for the 18 going into turn 3, which sent him up to the wall. It's amazing that Mallon didn't get spun out.
Golly, barely just that little bit of contact on the quarter panel, and it just launched him up the banking, and golly, rode that wall for several hundred feet. I don't know how good a shape that car is going to be in at this point.
I mean, that was a very sharp angle to hit for one point, but yeah, he latches on right about where the red stripe is for the Folds of Honor colors, and falls off at the opposite area where the red is, where the Sunoco logo is. So, geez, oh Pete's.
This is interesting, though. It's very split strategy, and that wasn't even a full lap. But a number of guys, Mallon being the most notable of them, but there's Lamas and Sides and Anderson as well, deciding to come down pit road. Also got Chris Wetz and Tristan Allen as well. Which, by the way, I do have to ask you guys, in the time that I've been gone, have we found out if it's left Twix or right Twix? Or did we establish that and I'm just being dumb?
But the most I was able to make out, it's the Twix that wasn't eaten.
The good Twix. Whichever one that is, it's the good Twix. We don't know which one is which, though.
Well, your favorite Cascade or Cloaked in Chocolate? I think that's how the joke went.
I think it was too.
Wow, look at this. Dunlop Prad and a couple other guys hardcore clutching right now.
And I'm trying to figure this one out. I'm trying in my head to figure out the strategy here, because on that last restart, we had 40 to go. These guys could go about, if they went full force, if they didn't try saving, they could go about maybe 30 laps. I'm wondering if some of these guys might be thinking about stretching as far as they possibly can on fuel, coming down pit road, and maybe even doing a right side tire strategy, because they would only have to take on maybe a half can, a full can at most. They won't want to spend any more time on pit lane than they possibly have to, but just how worn are those left side tires going to be if they decide to leave them on with about probably, 10, 11 laps left in this race?
That is true, but then you'll save, like you said, that probably, I would say, is at least a good 7 or 8 second difference. 2 tires versus 4. But then would that be negated by the fact that your left sides are still old? I think that you'd have to go with some semblance of taking tires. There's no way that you could probably do like a splash or a half a can and no tires. I think that you're going to be sit and duck at that point. If this goes green, that is.
one part of the racetrack we haven't seen drivers really experience under green flag conditions is that apron coming off pit road. You have to stay down the apron through 1 and 2 and merge off the second corner. It is really slick down there when you come off pit lane with fresh Goodyears. So, you know, if we end up seeing that final pit stop under green, that's one more obstacle these drivers are going to have to deal with.
And that could be the race decider if it comes to that point, but of course we have to make it to that point first. Ogo and LaPrade on the front row. Number of guys once again going for the outside. A lot of tires spinning, and Emery's going to hit the wall. Oh, and fall all the way back. They all keep off of him, but that is going to really, really kill Emery's chances if we don't get a caution at this point. But Stinson now come back on the inside. Not quite clear. Going to be side by side going into 3.
Big kudos to Chris Emery. He could have easily tried to save that race car and keep it turned to the left. He had that thing hooked to the right, kept it in the wall so everybody else could get on by him after he realized he was in trouble.
Yeah, there aren't many guys as courteous as Chris Emery is, known from the amount of racing that I've done with him. Great dude, and will always keep it as clean as he can. Stinson all over the bumper of the Lucas Oil 25. Trying to go down to the inside, but LaPrade, I regardless of whatever happens at this point, I have to give the biggest of kudos to for being the man on the outside line. He's able to hard charge out there better than anyone else tonight.
Well, and the other piece I wanted to say, at least on this, is 15th place. Obviously, that spot has been more or less secured, so Emery is now tumbled back to 12th. So it's not as bad, but it still isn't good. But remember, this is the point system. A 12th place finish for Emery is 19 points. A win is 30. Not exactly split in half, but that is a big, big bonus points day for Dunn in what was, I believe, a 6-point difference between the two going into this race.
Yeah, there was 6 points between them, and just like that, LaPrade clutching going into the corner. I think a couple other guys did as well. They are going to try and stretch this thing, probably maybe to the end, if they're able to pull that off, or at the very least, yeah, try to get the two tire strategy to work out.
Well, got to keep in mind too, we have these extra laps for a reason. Just in case if something goes wrong, especially at the end, near the end of this race. Green white checker?
Oh yeah, that's I mean, it is IMRC. How many times has it come down to that? Pretty frequently. So if they're able to get it to lap 90 and that's that, I think that it could be possible, especially knowing how much they're going to be lifting later in this run with the tires. But if there's any semblance of overtime, there is no way that they'll be able to pull that off.
Dane Stinson noticing Dunn LaPrade clutching back there. He started clutching as well. Dejan Weeks now starting to clutch. And this is where things are going to get interesting, because when you clutch into the corner, you end up going in with a slower rate of speed than you would if you were just lifting off of the throttle. So you see how Jovan Anderson is right on the back bumper of that 10 car. He's got to make sure that that slow rate of speed that Dejan Weeks is going to have in the entry, that he doesn't get right up on his back bumper. Otherwise, he's going to hook him around. But I'm trying to work the calculators here, guys. If it is possible for them to be able to clutch and save enough to make it to the end of regulation, you can save about half a lap if you clutch enough in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Right now, I think some of these guys might be right on the window of being able to make it to the completion of lap 90, but it's going to be super, super close. And I love this move by Dunn LaPrade. You can see he's giving up positions, but he's doing that on purpose. He's keeping his own pace, not letting anybody force him to go any faster than he wants to. He knows what the strategy is. Here's Cody Lamas, and he's gonna, oh,
Oh
wow.
my goodness.
Noah Robb in that one as well.
An explosion of vehicles.
Yeah, but do you come down and take on the fresh tires here, perhaps? Make absolutely certain you're good on fuel. I'm coming to pit road. If I'm these guys, I'm coming to pit lane. This might be my final time to pit road, but I'm taking on tires here under this caution.
Well, I'll definitely say this much. That's going to be a big paycheck out of my pocket for Cody's wreck there. Well, Cody's been on my team for a number of seasons, and well, right now we only have one racing car out on the track, and well, now it's all smashed up. Yep.
And now you've got me worried for Tristan Allen, because I think we've overused the commentator's curse here tonight. We were talking about Dagenhart. He's 24 laps down, still sitting on pit row. We were talking about Gonzalez. He's out of the race. We were talking about Noah Robb. He was up on his side in 3 and 4. Can we just stop talking about underdogs? Reverse the curse. Chris Wetz thinks he's won the race already.
Chris, I think that the way that this works is you're supposed to go counterclockwise, not clockwise in NASCAR.
He thinks we're at Tiburon.
Oh, that's a fun track.
Dejan Weeks picked up, what, like 3 spots, I think, right there on pit road. Came out second behind Austin Ogo. Says that he did disconnect, did not score him for a reason out of the race. So far, we've had a total of 6 different drivers out in front on the Prads list. The most laps with 28, Dane Stinson with 16. They're the only two that have led in the double digits. 9 laps led for Chris Emery, 5 apiece for Tyler Mallon and Noah Dagenhart. And Dejan Weeks has led 3 laps in this race so far.
Green flag is back out.
Big stack up from about 7th place on back. The 28 didn't get going. Cody Lamas had to jump to his outside, and it looked like Jovan Anderson had a little bit of an issue on the start as well. So, bit of a gap from 5th back to 6th.
Nice.
Chris Emery's got the fastest lap of the race so far, 29.243. That translates to about 187.7 miles per hour. Ooh. Left the door open there on the inside. Did Chris Emery for Jovan Anderson to stick his nose in, and I wondered if the 93 was going to back out. He did not. Trying to get alongside of Emery for 5th place. Emery, high, wide, and handsome, tried to get to the right rear quarter panel of Tyler Mallon for 4th place. He couldn't make it work. Now he's going to try again here through 3 and 4. Look at him pitch the 18 down here through the center. Talk about those final 3 races. We got Tri-County making its debut on the IMRC schedule next week. Dover follows that, the Monster Mile, and then of course the championship decided at Homestead Miami Speedway. So you have to wonder, out of tonight and the 3 remaining races, which one Chris Emery kind of looked at as his golden opportunity to be able to reel in, if not take the points lead from Dunlap-Brad.
Oh my goodness, what a save.
Loses spots, loses points, and I don't think Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to send him a check in the mail for the extracurricular landscaping.
Oh yeah.
And if you're Dunlap-Brad, I think right now you're not really wanting to force the issue. Yeah, you want to go to victory lane, but you're big picture racing right now. You don't have to worry about a win in your in situation like the current playoffs have. Dane Stinson, the car ahead of you, has you have 10 points on him, actually 9.5 points coming into this race. So there's no way that he's going to be able to take the points lead from you if you finish 2nd or 3rd. Chris Emery, with that mistake, has now fallen way back. So you're just trying to manage the gap between yourself and second and third in the point stands. He'll tuck into that third spot, and I think he's just going to be content to ride there for the time being.
Oh, and Dejan's going to sling it down to the inside. He's going to try and get by Delaprade. Not this time, though.
Mallon into the wall in the front on the back straightaway. We also had Sean Ryan nearly lose it up in the outside wall off of turn 2. Not really. I mean, if you consider the fact that we are at 12 laps to go, the tires are going to be wearing down the longer we go, and so the ability to be able to make moves like that are going to get fewer and fewer. Mallon had to make that move while the tires were at their freshest, and I think Dane Stinson realized that that could have been the move to win the race. Went to throw the block, just mistimed it, and some bumper grab there. It wasn't as if the 18 was to his inside at that point in time, just that little bit of gray area that we know about here on the under 2003 sim.
Just to the outside. Really off by about half a car length, I estimate. But the crazy thing is he's getting better momentum off the exit of the turns. It's just how does he capitalize without giving up the outside where he seems to be stronger?
If you're Don LaPrade, do you want to be that aggressive seeing the block that was just put on Tyler Mallon courtesy of the 7? You don't want to put yourself in that same situation. Oh! 93, I think, may have brushed the wall there, but he was able to get to the inside of Dejan Weeks. Tristan Allen in the wall. These guys are asking every bit that they can, and then some out of these Goodyears. And you said back, 5 laps ago that the tires were going to be screaming? No, they were screaming at that point in time. They are in agonizing pain now, and we've still got 7 laps here when they hit the stripe.
The answer is 3. Dane Stinson has 3 wins on the season, looking for number 4.
Seen Don LaPrade run the top side quite a bit here on this run. trying to get the race lead from Dane Stinson and trying to hold off Dejan Weeks and Jovan Anderson. You gotta wonder how much that affected the wear on those tires. How much does he have left to be able to possibly mount a charge against Dane Stinson to try and pick up this checkered flag, or has he used it all up at this point in time? But watch out for Dejan Weeks. I've been watching him the last couple of laps. He has entered into the corner faster of anybody inside of the top 5. He drives it in really deep, and he's able to maintain that speed through the center of the corner. That car, that number 10, he is up here, and he has a shot of winning this thing. Keep an eye on him. He's going to only have 3 miles to work with. Dane Stinson, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the 25 he's going to have to be worried about. It may be a fellow Mustang.
Here we go.
Oh. If I'm the 25, I let him go. If I'm the 25, I let him by. Dejan Weeks has nothing to lose right now. He's so far back in points. He's going for the win. If you're Don LaPrade, let him by. Finish third. It's fine.
Oh, pushes him up the track. Oh, the 10 slides.
That's all she wrote for sure.
Maybe not. So the answer to that math equation is Dunn will walk away with 29 points tonight, and Chris Emery with 26. So thankfully for Dunn, he didn't bleed badly. Definitely would have helped getting a win, but without a doubt, he didn't bleed points, and that's what he needed to do tonight.
And he only lost 1 point to Dane Stinson.
Wow. Four or five at most.
Hey, wake up.
Yeah.
User was moved to your channel.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a hard race at the end. I hate that happened with me in the 18. I hate that had to happen. I put a block on him, and then I guess we made contact, and unfortunately got the worst end of it. So I hate that that had to happen, but I thought at the end there I was kind of screwed because I was driving as hard as I did the entire race, and I thought the 25 was going to catch me, but I think we were both running pretty even, but I think I definitely weared out more, so I'm pretty lucky on my part that I was able to stay in front, but yeah, we're definitely going for this championship, man. 2 wins in a row. It's been a great season so far, but we can make it a lot better here in these last few races. Yeah, I think Tri-County, I just gotta try my best to stay out of trouble. Last season I was pretty fast there, top 5. I think I almost had a chance to win the race, but didn't. But that's one of my good short tracks, so I'm confident heading in. We just gotta stay out of trouble. Yes, sir. Thank you.
User left your channel. User was moved to your channel.
Well, disappointed that I finished second again. We had a really good pace all night. I on those restarts, I was able to really get the outside lane to work. So that's why I was committed to the outside on those restarts and trying to send it in on the outside. I felt like that was my only shot, trying to get the win on those restarts and got shuffled back to fourth and got back up to second. And then I got shuffled back to third or fourth. And then Tyler ended up getting bumper grabbed by Dane. And, I was able to try to figure out how I could set up Dane. I mean, I almost made a pass on him going into turn 3. Then I washed up and costing myself a lot of time. And Dejan was behind me too. And, he's probably not happy with me, what he said in the chat, but it's none of my business. I'm just racing my own race. Yeah, I mean, we had a good run all night. We led a lot of laps. I felt really good. I really wanted to get my redemption from last season. It sucks that I came that close from redeeming myself after all the crap that happened here last season to me. So, I mean, I feel confident going forward. We're still maintaining the points lead, so that's great. Otherwise, but at the same time, it just, man, it's I mean, I've never won a championship without having to win a race in the season, so it's going to be different if I would have accomplished that. So, hopefully, we can snag a win before the season ends. Hopefully, next week, a week before the Homestead, whichever comes first. But yeah, I mean, great run all night, and hopefully, we can, you know, let's just try to keep it up, and hopefully, we can make it all the way to Homestead with a shot to win it all. I mean, it depends on the situation. I mean, no matter what, every situation, you're going to encounter a different situation every time. And, when we go to a track like Atlanta where it's very, the tire just eat you up like a cheese grater, if you push it too hard, you really have to, and even though that last stint, you really have to be able to try to figure out when to go and when's the right time. And man, I felt like I did everything I did right to catch up to Dane. I almost had it May going to turn three one lap, but just again, I made a mistake and ended up giving him a comfortable advantage where he can kind of sit there, and had to refocus myself. But like I said, it's just again, it just depends on the circumstances that you're in. I mean, unlike last season where we were focused on wins to try to walk in the championship four, it's mainly just sheer consistency. Instead of having to worry about you know just being in the final four. So I know Dejan's not happy with me. I mean, he has every right to be, but at the same time, he's got to understand that I'm on the same boat as him when it comes to going for the championship too. So I get it. I may not be, it may not have been the right decision for me to kind of, not to go or go hard or whatever costed us time. But in those circumstances, you just never know. Um, you just never really know what's the right answer. So I feel like again I did everything I could to just try to stay right there at it, but I just could not execute the win. So it's unfortunate, but we'll learn from it, and we're gonna move on to Tri County, where hopefully we can learn something over there and try to get the W like once again.
Right on. Well, thank you for your time and good job on getting pretty close there once again, but still holding on to that lead. You're doing well, man.
Yep, thanks.
User left your channel.
So I think I just realized something. I royally messed up. So tonight I experimented with I guess you could call it like the cough button, where it's like you mute yourself and then you unmute yourself if you have to do something. I experimented with that. I muted myself, and I feel like probably for the last third of that race, I was silent.
Oh no.
Oh boy. Welcome back, everybody.
Stuff happens.
So yeah, you're just gonna hear Seth and Blake probably for that. Or that's probably all you were hearing for that last bit. Oops. I am so sorry, everybody. As everyone just left the waiting room, so I guess it's probably where it's gonna wrap up because I royally messed up. So yep, Dane Stinson wins. We talked to him. TeamSpeak could hear me, but the stream probably couldn't. So I apologize for that. I feel like a dunce, and I'm probably gonna get rid of that stupid button. But before I wrap it up and go slam my head into a wall, I'll get you guys' take on that race and what we got coming forward. Blake, we'll start with you.
Well, I will definitely say this, that Atlanta definitely seems like an action-packed track, and tonight did not disappoint. I will say that it certainly feels a little bit more tamer compared to last season and maybe even the season prior, but the stakes just as equally high and just as equally important. Obviously, we have a different point system this season, but drivers were still running and fighting as hard as they could, as if we were under the old points format. So definitely not a race that was boring by any means. I think the big question is, and this just kind of comes down to the community, is we already know that Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to change for NASCAR. So the big question is when that is going to be for NR, and is there going to be good grips on the track? Is everything going to be as accurate as it can be? And even more so, what type of racing that is potentially going to bring. There is rumblings of a next-gen mod. We've seen a little bit of design of it. And even though that I don't think it will handle differently, it will definitely look different. But the big question is what things are going to be lying ahead and what that could mean within IMRC for the schedule shakeup and what modern improvements there could be. But hopefully in the process, we'll get to keep this amazing action and definitely see some more insane finishes like what we did tonight and have seen many times prior.
Yeah, as we've seen plenty of times in IMRC, and I'm sure plenty more coming up here. Seth, I'll get your closing thoughts on tonight's action.
Yeah, definitely echo what Blake said. Maybe the calmer Atlanta race than we've seen in the last couple of seasons. But, we were talking with Dane Stinson, and he said, we're on a roll right now, 2 wins in a row. We are gunning for this championship. He thinks that he's got the momentum to be able to chip away enough in the upcoming weeks to get that championship from Dunlop-Prad by the time they get to Homestead. Look at the tracks that Dane is going to victory lane at as well. Outward Speedway, Boston, last week at Chicagoland, and here tonight Atlanta. The thing that stands out to me is these are driver tracks. These are tracks where you basically have to search for a groove, search for a way through the corners to find the maximum speed and go with it, all the while trying to make sure that you don't make contact with another driver that's trying to run their own line. We've got Tri-County next week. I think that this is going to be a little bit more of a wild card race. It's going to be a lot more about track position being a short track, but look at the tracks we got afterwards. Dover, Homestead, these also fall into the category of driver tracks. These are places where Dane Stinson, I just almost did the same thing there, where Dane Stinson, I think, is going to be able to look back at what he was able to do here tonight and be able to apply that in those 2 races. Does he have enough time to be able to cut down what is now going to be about 8.5 points between himself and Dunlop-Prad? We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, for Dunlop-Prad on his side, it's just all about consistency. If he can finish up inside the top 3 in the next 3 weeks, even if he can finish up inside the top 5 in the next 3 weeks, I don't think that there's enough time for Dane Stinson to be able to reel him in for that points lead. So it's going to be interesting to see because there's 2 very tough tracks coming up with Tri-County and Dover. So we'll have to see what the 7 and the 25 are going to be able to do. In my opinion, right now, even with just 3 races left on the schedule, it's those 2 for the championship. Everybody else now is basically out of the running unless somebody like Chris Emery is able to win the next 3 races in a row.
And you never know, he's the sleeping giant, so we'll be keeping an eye, of course, on those 3 horses. It's going to be a good one. I will definitely not make the same mistake that I did tonight because I already know exactly what change I need to make in order to prevent that from happening again. So sorry to everybody for that. But good to be back. Looking forward to doing these last 3 races. It's just times are crazy, but now finally starting to settle in. So hopefully we'll be able to keep after it for a good while here. Thank you, Seth and Blake, for being a part of this. That was a lot of fun, and thank you to those who tuned in to watch it. And thank you to Jaden, my partner, for bringing me some Alfredo or fettuccine. I always confuse the two.
It's a type.
It's some type of noodle. But I'm gonna go chill out, have some of that dinner, and get ready for the next one. Until next time, though, thank you, gentlemen, again. Thank you to IMRC, and congrats to Dane Stinson bringing it home once again. Until next time, though, see you next week at Tri-County for a very special race for this channel. Just saying. Until then, take care. Bye for now.